Hello, everyone. What's going on? My name is Perk. This is the Caffeinds, a group of content creators, fans of the game, and just people that honestly have a lot to say about Destiny. I'm the founder. My name is Perk. Today, I'm joined by one of our most esteemed members, Moose, and the show's host, WillProduces. Will,
That's me.
if you will.
It's you boys and girl. Back at it again, guys. We have a tradition here on the podcast to cheers a caffeinated drink, and we're breaking that tradition today because I don't have a caffeinated drink. I've got a champagne flute full of bubbly.
You know what I have, though?
What?
Half a milkshake
I've
Same,
got a
from my
hydro flask
freezer.
of iced tea. I'm the only one with caffeine here.
same, but different. Clink,
Oh
guys.
no, I have coffee, dude. No. I have coffee. Don't even worry. But I'm here with half a milkshake.
We're
just
said that.
proving.
Well,
Just
Will
proving.
has
that
the champagne to celebrate your half of it.
He
Yes.
does.
I'm
This
celebrating.
milkshake is frozen, and I'm gonna have it by the end of the episode. Hopefully, I'll be able to take a sip.
You're gonna eat it with a spoon. I can feel it.
No, there is no spoon. There is no spoon. There is a straw that is.
It is
frozen
only
inside of
yourself
it.
that melts.
It's fine.
Yes, no, I'm celebrating finally the completion of that milkshake. It's been a week in the making. It's the
Glorious.
year anniversary of my place of work. Shout out to Esports Engine. And they told me I could expense a bottle of champagne, so I went and I got some top shelf shit.
All right.
So yeah, today we have a shit ton of stuff to talk about. And normally what we've done in the past is when I write up show notes, or if we're pretty structured, you'll often hear me say, "No, Perk, we're not going to talk about that yet." But today I decided to mix things up because Perk was like, "Yo, we should just free flow." So I'm actually going to open this up to you guys to see what you guys want to talk about first. We have the Hunter Revenant reveal from this Tuesday. We have the TWAB that was huge that was just dropped on us, and we have to talk about Traveler's Chosen, which just came out, the Exodus storyline. So which one would you guys like to start with first?
If there's any chance that you have Moose's clip with Traveler's Chosen,
I
featuring it,
do not.
Okay,
thank
that's all right.
God.
Well, you can find it on our Twitter and on our Instagram. It's pretty much everywhere. Moose did an incredible thing, and it really doesn't have much to do with Traveler's Chosen other than the fact that she was holding it. But she juked 7 Dawnblade slashes. Literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got the kill with Traveler's Chosen, and then beat it off the cliff because the level of excellence was just so high that it couldn't be taken any higher. But for real though, Traveler's Chosen, I have really mixed thoughts about it. I think on one hand, it's a great nod of a tradition. Not of a tradition. It's a great nod to the end of the vanilla D1 campaign. The first gun that we had in hand was that Traveler's Chosen, right? The singular gun that we started with, the sidearm, it became destroyed, all of that other good stuff. And then we've just had it. Like I kept mine in my vault. I have literally a glitched version with 0 light. It's not possible to get it anymore if you craft it from your vault. I think it comes in at 10 light or something like that. Mine is a fat 0. And it was kind of cool to see us go on a quest ending with a glowing version of the Traveler's Chosen with light emitting from it, much like our Solstice gear that we've been doing over the summer, the past few weeks. So on one hand, it's really cool, and it's got a really cool ability. My issue is just that I can't land any hits with it because I'm trash. Or maybe I'm not trash. Maybe it's the gun's fault. What do you guys think?
Definitely not the gun's fault. I haven't used it enough to have a huge impression of it just on the acquisition of it. So, but Moose, what do you think?
So I used it in comp today,
How did it go?
and you can outduel shotguns who are rushing you. So
Really?
if you can hit your headshots, it does 51, 52 to the head. So
Okay.
you don't need to hit that many.
Okay.
It's in the same archetype as Drang, which
Okay.
has always been really, really good, as far as range and everything. It's always just suffered from not being full auto. That's why people run the Soros ones, and you see Rat King. Those full auto sidearms are always innately able to shoot the lead down range super quick, and so you rack up the damage a lot easier.
I was gonna say I do like those. That was kind of my thing with it too. Is I felt myself kind of like spamming with Traveller's
Mm-hmm.
Chosen. The ones that I like, honestly, my favorite still from the beginning of D1 or D2 rather, is the Last Hope, Last Dance, the
Yeah, the
Obalon one,
burst
Mhm.
the shoot
sidearms.
bursts.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I feel great with those. Like they're good. They're good in Crucible. They feel like they consistently hit their shots. I feel like with Traveller's Chosen, I'm just like spamming my mouse button so much that I feel like I'm losing my aim.
Think of
And
it more as a precision tool and not
yeah,
a spam tool.
yeah, no, that makes sense. I think I'm too spastic with my mouse trying
Just gotta practice.
to land those
But
shots. I'm definitely
if
gonna be.
you compare its stat lines compared to all the other sidearms in its own archetype and against the others, it has
Yeah,
the highest stats across the board.
Would you
Like it
say
is
I hope so.
technically the strongest sidearm.
Is that pre exotic perk proct, or is that just like the flat
I
stat
believe it's
value?
pre-proc.
That's
if I'm
good.
not
That
mistaken,
makes
it's at least tied with Dring for best pre-proc, and it only gets better, right?
Right.
Given that it is such a precision weapon, Moose, would you call it an elegant weapon for a more civilized age?
I would.
There you go.
it's the for the more
So
civilized
yeah, if you're not familiar with how to get this, there is a quest line that finally came out this week. To get it, it's quite simple. Follow through with all of your vendors in the Exodus. Get some lore in you. How do we feel about that acquisition quest for it?
Moose, I'll let you lead with that. I was streaming on
I was
Tuesday.
dying by the end.
Yeah, me, Moose, and Gino did it, and I'm with you, Moose. I was kind of
So,
like,
as someone who's played since the beginning,
mm,
the like flashback greatest hits material was nice for a little bit. I think I would have appreciated it more if the strikes weren't included. Like
yeah,
Yeah.
do hit the weird random objective, hit the like bounty, and then move on.
I
Because we've already played those strikes so many times,
yeah.
and
yeah,
nothing was done in them.
yeah. Okay, well,
I think that this is weird to say because I normally hate adventures, but I had more fun trying to figure out how the adventures fit into the story than the strikes because I've done. No matter what you say, I don't believe you if you say you've done the adventures more than the strikes. Just period, because everyone runs strikes, and
oh yeah,
there's only a handful of them. There are far more adventures, and some of the ones on Mercury are really long, like
they
Mhm.
are.
way too long. And I think it's because
Like,
the adventures are basically all story missions.
They're all side stories,
pretty
and they're
Yeah.
all things that you would only know from reading lore tabs, which is
Yeah.
another whole argument that we can get into about this quest.
we absolutely can. I mean, the way that I look at it is like it's really like the stories and stuff, like the heroic adventures, as you will, like they're fun to do and to hear like the little bits of side story about the game. Because I mean, that's the thing that we always talk about in Caffeinds in our Discord is like we wish there was more lore, we wish there was less forced stuff, right?
Right.
But with something like that, it almost just feels like these are expositions of story and these are bits of story that like we could have used to complete a narrative better than reading a big bunch of text about the NPC from the whatever area we're in. Uh, like the story did a good job, and I totally understand from a development standpoint that they didn't want to go in and create all of these brand new assets for literally like a one-time thing, right? They're not gonna blow the doors off and create this big you know uh like story and cinematic and voice dialogue and stuff like that. That costs like a ton of money to do, so I'm not even asking for anything like that. It just I didn't want to do strikes, and I liked what was going on in the stories, but I didn't want to be. I wish there was actually what would have solved a lot of this and made it a little bit better for me. If there was a playlist that they could have just curated of all the missions and strikes that we needed to do, and me and my fire team could have just jumped into it, just taken us over there, take us through the story that you want us to see, instead of me having to like spam my quest and go, okay, where is it, all right, going over here, doing this. By the time we get there, there's just nothing for me to really enjoy. It's just kind of like I'm like, all right, I'm just trying to just get through this quest as fast as possible. And I think
I
Destiny's always had like a weird relationship with questing, and I think this was an opportunity, or just an opportunity, at least for me as a player, to see a potential solution using assets they already have, that where they don't have to create anything. Literally, just hi,
Right.
I'd like to do this quest. Take me along the journey. You know, that's how I
It
feel.
just felt weird to redo content that we've already done
Yeah,
as a stage setting for like this is our last hurrah.
yeah,
And then I think that like their mindset going into it first was not designing a really engaging experience to like say goodbye to those vendors. Their first thought was, how are we going to give people these nightfall drops that they may have missed?
yeah.
Yep.
Which I appreciate, by the way. Like, I didn't have. I think it was. I don't think it was Silicone Aroma. It was the other one. I didn't have the DF, or was it
Didn't have
DFA?
DFA.
I
Yeah,
didn't have DFA, and I didn't have
The auto
the auto
rifle.
rifle with the knife in the front.
duty bound.
Um, so duty bound. So like those were good to get. I was like, oh, cool. You know, guns that I'll probably never get in my collection otherwise because I'm not necessarily farming them.
Right.
When Nightfalls, I mean, hell, we farmed Master Nightfalls of Shadow Lake. Is it called Shadow Lake? Lake of Shadows. Shadow Lake. We farmed the hell out of that just because that was a fun strike to run with the master modifiers. Like it was doable, it was farmable to kind of get those stacks going and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you guys. I think it was
I can say I saw more mindbenders than
Hmm.
Bellwinters in Crucible today.
yeah,
That's not surprising, given that now everyone
yeah,
has
no,
one. But that role like wasn't the optimal PvP role.
It's not the optimal role,
it's
but
not.
Still
it's
good.
the optimal archetype. So
It's yeah,
everyone who missed the Fellwinter's quest, since it's unobtainable,
yep,
it's going to be running the
absolutely,
either that role or their better role.
Right.
yep,
Mindbenders.
yeah.
So,
I agree.
that any last thoughts on Traveler's Chosen?
It's really fun and it fits my build perfectly.
How do you
Yeah.
sorry, how do you rank it against Rat King, Moose?
So that's a tough one. So I think Traveler's Chosen is more synergistic to my build. Rat King is more synergistic to my playstyle. And if I had to pick one to go into Crucible with over the other, I'd likely choose Rat King every time, even if it was just me soloing.
Interesting.
Okay. That is fair.
Health regen, full auto, and invisibility on kill.
My my thing with Rat King is now, you know what? I'm just kidding. I'm going Rat King. I was gonna try to just find an angle where like Traveler's Chosen was better, but I think I'd still try to use Rat King. The
Oh,
full
it's
auto, the invisibility, like it's dope.
I mean, as a
It's
hunter,
Must be
you
Rat
can
King.
say that you can get like you can easily get that invisibility from eating your stacks and then dodging.
that's true. But
Yeah,
what
but I'm
I've
a
been
hunter.
using it for is consuming the stacks to get my smoke grenade back. And
Mm,
so that's been super synergistic with my build. Because with Kepri Sting, every time I throw my smoke, I get wall
Wall
hacks.
hacks.
okay.
So Traveler's Chosen, I throw my smoke, I get my wall hacks, I hit the snipe, go get a couple kills with um Traveler's Chosen. I'm dodging, that refreshes my cooldown as well. So I'm just throwing smoke grenades and hacking through walls.
That's completely fair.
As Bungie intended.
Standard
evidently.
Moose play.
Standard issue.
Your last thought, perk on Traveler's Chosen before we move on?
It's dope. I would have bought this. I would have bought the base version as an ornament. I don't know why the better looking version is not the ornament. I don't know why there's like a weird like squirt gun looking ornament. Instead of
Summer
them
of the Chosen. I
Summer
don't know.
of whack, dude. I like. There's a lot of other good ornaments and emotes and stuff that came out of the summer, but I don't know what's up with that ornament. I'm glad that the base version is the glowy version.
It
And that we
reminds
didn't
me
have
of
to do like some asinine quest to make it glow like we did with our Solstice gear.
dude. It reminds me of Baywatch.
It does.
It's very just like red white lifeguard.
Yeah. It's last thoughts on Traveler's Chosen. The dope gun. I love like the synchronicity of it's the first gun and it's our last gun that we're gonna get in this like iteration of Destiny. Um,
Mhm.
so I think that's really really cool. But I'm gonna continue to play with it. I'm gonna even
I will
try playing it
say,
with it on a hunter as well.
one
But
other thought that we didn't touch on.
Yeah.
It does represent what we want weapons to look like going forward.
You're correct. Yes.
And the last time we saw something like unique like this was probably like Lumina.
Hmm. Lumina. Lumina does a thing though.
Lumina can heal people.
It does. Lumina can heal. Lumina has a very beautiful look. Lumina has uh literally feels like the healer role as much as like the Trinity is not necessarily
Yeah.
in Destiny.
It just the Traveler's Chosen feels like
A support gun?
a gun from an RPG. Like
Yeah.
if you had to pick a gun and say, well, this gun lets you do everything you want to do, more and better.
Yeah, I would
And it
agree
has
with that.
nothing to do with increasing your damage or anything like that.
I do
Like,
like the fact that it's like a support type of thing. It's not just like a your stability is better or like cool down your super faster. It's like we get that. We've got stuff to do with that. You know, we can make those things happen if we wanted to. It's not necessarily
yeah.
a thing that's been missing, so to speak. So yeah, I agree.
But it also introduces the player choice. You
Yes.
can choose to eat the stacks and lose
Yeah.
out on your super gun or not.
Kind of reminds me almost a little bit of like Tlaloc from D1, where you
Mm-hmm.
had a
Mm.
special version of it that you could leave, you know, albeit for in Tlaloc's sake is was just with your you know, your actual super. So it wasn't like a gun, you know, activate like mechanic or anything like that. But yeah, I agree. And I do like it. I like the way that it works. I'm not a sidearm user really.
No,
So
I just
I
think that it and the trace rifle from earlier in the season, like they knocked the exotics out of the park, gun
the
wise.
trace rifle
Mm.
was great. Yeah, the trace rifle was great. I don't know that it fills a role necessarily, but it's a fun gun.
It's
And I
unique. That's what I'm looking for. I want things to have a unique use.
I do too. I mean, ultimately, I my idea of an exotic is something that I am forced to go. Damn, I have so many good choices for this slot. Like, which gun goes in there? Like, what am I actually using? You know what I mean? And I feel like Lumina, and I feel like those are just ones that aren't necessarily those kind of go-tos. When I think of guns that just like dominate the exotic slot and their usefulness, I'm thinking like Whisper, I'm thinking you know, Outbreak Perfected, I'm thinking about just, you know, Divinity. A lot of other stuffs where you're just like, well, these are just key pieces to Destiny's, you know, hardest content. So, you know, they make the most sense to dominate that slot. And I guess when I look at something like Traveler's Chosen, I immediately once you go, well, there's no way that this is worth this is not like a trash mob killer into the effect of like something like Fatebringer would be, right? So when I look at Traveler's Chosen, I'm just kind of like, well, this doesn't have a direct endgame PvE use, so this is now a PvP gun.
It's definitely a PvP gun.
You
Yeah.
know, that's kind of where I get to with is I'm like, all right, it's a PvP gun. You know, and that's the best essentially that I can really do for that. So but yeah, that's it.
All right, let's move on. Hunter reveal. The Revenant subclass is has been out for the majority of the week. Let's take a look at this bad boy. Starting off, the Stasis Spotlight Hunter from the September 8th. This is the Hunter version of what we saw for both the Warlock and Titan. For our review of those, check out our last show with Lucas. That's episode 11. We're going to click in here and... Oh, hey, this is not letting me actually make this image bigger. That's fine. We're talking about Silence and
Big.
Squall, which are the two Kama blades, which we've learned are not ice picks. They are Kamas, which are the Japanese scythes that you can see in like karate katas. They have an ability called Deadly Edge. Upon impact, the first blade shatters and sends out a wave of stasis energy that freezes any enemies in the surrounding area. And then the second blade hits, that creates a violent stasis storm that hones in on nearby enemies, slowing, damaging, and eventually freezing them. So first Kama, insta freeze. Second Kama, anyone who gets caught up in it gets eventual freeze and slow. Their melee is a shuriken called Withering Blade. It's actually two shuriken that ricochet off multiple enemies and surfaces, slowing and damaging them in the process. This is interesting to me. I'm wondering if you will have the choice whether or not to throw that second Kama in the super. We're going to find out.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I would definitely be curious to see if that's.
It didn't. From the footage we've seen, it doesn't look like a roaming super. I think you have to throw both.
I mean,
Okay.
the less roaming supers, the better, in my opinion. Like,
Agreed.
Oh yeah, 100%.
100% agreed.
but would you count Quiver Night Stalker as a roaming super?
No,
Yes.
Why or
it
why
doesn't
not?
last. It doesn't last long enough.
Well, like I feel like this could be very similar in that occasion.
I mean, if you want to be pedantic about it,
Mhm.
then yes, it is.
I do want to be
But-
pedantic about it. Let's pedant.
But in reality, it feels like it's the weakest. I guess you could call it the weakest roaming super.
Yeah. My thought process is any super, like, for the pedantic sake. My thing is any super that you can stop what you're doing, put your guns away, and continue moving around, shoot something off your super, and then continue. It's a roaming super.
But it doesn't change your like loadout when you do it.
What do you mean by
Like when you're a striker titan, your abilities get like your ability bar gets replaced with
Right.
new stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it still allows you mobility. It still allows you to get around. I absolutely would fight to the death that it's a roaming super. I am ready to die on that hill. It is
All right. Well,
roaming super.
we're gonna leave that up to you guys, and you can roast Perk on Twitter. I'm just gonna come back to our faces and show you
Never.
his Twitter
Never.
right there.
No.
Listen, you
It's a
can't
roaming
change your Twitter fast
Fight
enough.
No, I don't want to. I want to talk about it.
There we go.
I wanna talk
Anyway,
about it.
let's go into the cool stuff that we saw last time, the aspects and the fragments. I am all over the place with my scroll here.
I will say we do know, and they confirmed that the melee ability only freezes if you land both shurikens
Thank God.
on one target.
Really?
The hunter theme isn't really freezing; it's just slowing.
I'm wondering if there's like a meter, or like a hidden meter in which like it does a certain amount of slow, and then once you hit a certain amount of slow, you freeze. Because there's a lot of slow fields, and you'll see that in the TWAB, like some of the mechanics they're introducing, they break down. But let's look at this aspect here. Shattered Dive, which is the dive that we talked about from like 2 episodes ago. A Frozen Screen Trapped in Gemstone. But basically the effect of this is you activate you hold your O button in midair to quickly descend and shatter nearby targets. Shatter being the destruction of frozen enemies. Huge.
Okay.
The fragments that attach to it, you can gain bonus to weapon damage after freezing a target with stasis. We are seeing more and more things and aspects to play with in these classes that I personally am loving. The possibilities are endless.
There's also one listed there that they did not show a picture of,
Yes.
but it's in the text.
What would that be?
It is the hunters are going to be able to slot an artifact thing where every time they stow their dodge roll, it does an AoE slow around them.
Oh, good. That's what we want. That's what we want.
So
for
you slap on your Gemini Jesters,
Oh my God!
max
don't
out
even-
your mobility, every
Gemini
9
Jesters.
seconds, dodge, slow someone, blank their radar, put up the screen glare, and slow them.
Gemini Jesters is a trigger word for me. Okay, let me tell you about Gemini Jesters.
And then
I
pull out
was
your
fighting-
roaming super known as Quiver, evidently.
It is a roaming super. Gemini Jesters. I was playing on Midtown, and you know when you go in towards the back on Midtown, you have the point C, which is over by the shore. You got that little corridor down the street, and you have that archway. You're heading towards the building, which encapsulates control point B. On that control point, a hunter, while I was on point C, dodged behind the archway, suppressing me or blinding me, whatever actually it does.
It
did it.
disorients. So it
disorients.
gives you a minor slow, it removes your
I'm
radar, and it
furious.
does like, you know how when you get hit with a flashbang grenade from the Titans, your screen goes full white and then it slowly fades out?
Mm-hmm.
It gives you like quarter strength flashbang.
Yeah, it's full strength, especially if you're doing it in the 3v3s, because I've seen people were using it in trials the past
Oh
couple
yeah,
weeks.
it's an exotic on the rise.
And it's like I'm in one. I mean, they're actually, they look good. They look like breakdancing, like loose pants,
And
which
you
like
can
I
do it to people through walls, and
You don't
the
even need
wall
it
cardboard.
technically
the
it technically
wall
does 1 damage too.
the wall things is on another friggin' level. Like there was a guy behind a wall, and he's just like, "Oh, time for me to like just dodge over this way now," and I got to deal with that. And I'm a Titan, just trying to do Titan stuff, trying to shoulder charge people in the face, and I got this guy going, "It's breakdance time. You're blind," and I'm
Yeah, I
furious.
mean, fair and balance.
You're blinded by his 6
You're
skills.
blinded by his pants.
Hunters are so egregious anyway before any of this, and now all I see on Twitter is like, it's hunters finally time to shine. Yeah, we're the underdogs. No, you're not. You're nearly 40% usage, whereas Titans and Warlocks are at 31%, right? Nearly 40%
So
usage.
I would argue that the only reason they're so high is because their jumps are accessible,
They're just so good at everything. They're the best at
but
everything.
they don't have the highest win rate.
They don't have the biggest
brain.
brains either, guys.
They don't.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on from hunters. In
We'll
that
never
same
move on from hunters.
in that same article, we got a rundown of what our grenades are going to be. All 3 classes will share grenades, starting from the first one, the Glacier Grenade. Upon contact with the ground, a wall of stasis crystals instantly bursts from the earth, and nearby enemies are frozen inside stasis crystal. These grenades have multiple uses, from encasing enemies to creating cover. When destroyed, the crystals create an AoE burst damage to nearby enemies. Cold Snap Grenades. Upon impact with the ground or an enemy, this grenade unleashes a wave of stasis energy that races along the ground in the direction of the closest nearby enemy, freezing them and then searching out the next nearby foe. You can freeze up to 3 enemies with a single Cold Snap Grenade. Duskfield Grenade. Duskfield grenades create powerful stasis fields that suck enemies into them when forming. Once an enemy is caught inside, they will be slowed, and if unable to make it out in time, frozen in place.
Good.
So here's what I have to say about this. Dustfield grenades are exactly what people wanted from Vortex grenades.
Yep.
Literally the entire time Destiny's existed.
I agree.
The second grenade there on that list seems
yeah.
like it's going to be super toxic.
I think you know what I hope? You know what I hope for all the hunters out there? I hope that I can freeze someone in a grenade long enough, and just like May, like I've been complaining about from Overwatch, I want to freeze somebody in a grenade, and then as a Titan, run a circle around them to build up my shoulder charge, and then shoulder charge them while they're in there.
You probably will, because
That's what I'm gonna do.
Titans and Warlocks are going to have easier access to the freezing abilities in PvP.
I am not gonna lie, it's gonna take a lot to get me away from the Glacier Grenade. Just the ability to create cover, but also that's the grenade that we saw people throw at like a pillar and then create like a platform to stand on.
I know.
So this is my thought on Glacier grenades. I feel really bad for Titans that these grenades exist. Because it invalidates your class ability now.
It does. My class ability, like as if my class ability didn't need more invalidation.
Because like Titans were the only ones who had access to on-demand cover.
That's why.
And so now I can not only throw my cover, but it'll be even to whatever surface I throw it on, and I can stand on it, just like I stand on the dead bodies of the Titans.
Egregious. How dare
yeah,
you?
Sip that milkshake between your angry statements.
But the straw is broken because it was frozen, so now I have like air holes in it, and I can't get anything out of it. You're gonna cut back to me at some point. I'm gonna be chugging it.
I'm waiting for it. I'm
waiting for the spoon.
I don't actually do have a spoon up here. You're right. But like those grenades are honestly so egregious. But here's like ultimately, like all things with a rant considered. If it comes down to where the Crucible becomes fun and making the grenades generic across all classes, I think is a good thing to do. If it comes down to it where it's fun, I don't think it's going to matter that much. I think as long as it's fun, and I think they've hopefully learned their lesson to where they kind of, Bungie has a tendency to balance builds based around like its average player base, and you've kind of got to with a game like Destiny, you've kind of got to balance it around your higher level player base, because those above average players, there's not a lot of players that are in like the top 10%, obviously, right?
That's why
But
it's called the top 10%.
right, there's only 10%. Only 10% of the top players are in the top
laughed a
10%.
stitch into my side. Jesus Christ!
All right,
100% of the top 10% are in the top 10%.
only the top
Bernie
10.
Sanders
There's
voice.
only-
We got to balance the game off the top 10% and not the bottom 90%. If they balance the game off the top 10th of 1%.
Listen, you're gonna do it. You're gonna have a game where you have too much going on. You got the top percent. They're using grenades. It's all over the place. You have to, like, you really do have to get balance around players that are above average with it, not top 10%. I'm talking about your top 50. All right, top 50% of players. You do need to kind of balance the game around them, because at a certain point, metas. As soon as you see a meta video show up, a lot of players are going to be able to use that and exploit it. They've got to balance the game around, what's the worst that you could do with something, because then you go for month-long metas in Crucible, and it's just egregious abilities like going all over the place.
So
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna say two things here on my thoughts about these grenades. One, you're making yourself laugh every time you say percent, aren't you? Two, I don't think that the player base is ready for the amount of crowd control that is being put into this game, and I cannot wait for the comments, because it's gonna be like, I fucking hate this. I can't believe I can't control my guy. Slows.
This is my prediction. That's going to be 100% true. But I like speaking for hunters.
Yeah.
I feel like just looking at the abilities and everything, the top players are going to go right back to Spectral at the end of the day.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Spectral Blades is
Wall hacks.
egregious. Yeah, wall hacks and just the
And it's a better
insane
super.
hitbox.
Yep.
The hitbox is just absurd. The speed that it gets, it's like absolutely second to none in terms of supers. Like,
When I
maybe
was
like
playing earlier, teammate or enemy team member popped Golden Gun.
Mm-hmm.
And so our teammate hopped Spectral
Mm-hmm.
and just wait on the other side of the wall, because
Oh yeah.
Spectral lasts double the length of time as Golden Gun,
Yep.
even if you pop it at the same time.
Yep. 100% agree. Something has to be done about Spectral. Like we
And
have
Dawnblade.
to do something about it. Why are you laughing at me again?
Who are you gonna call?
Who am I gonna call? No one.
Ghostbusters.
Oh.
No, I mean, if we want to get into a balancing discussion, Spectral and Dawnblade are definitely overperforming.
They're definitely 110% overperforming. It's
I
too
think-
much.
Honestly, Dawnblade much less so than Spectral. Like
Win
Dawnblade.
rates don't say that though.
Go
Dawnblade's
ahead.
top.
Go ahead.
I think the problem with
I mean, go for it.
Spectral is that the super is so much stronger than Dawnblade. If you're gonna put just those two together, right, in a matchup, right? Like your toolbox for Dawnblade is exclusively outside of your super, and then you can occasionally shut down, but then your animation that locks you in when you pull that out, there's opportunity for people to shit on you when you have the sword out, as you can see in any time I stream. And its strength is mobility, and that's the strength of any hunter class as well, and that's why hunters have always been, top of PvP. So I don't think the answer really is like remove mobility from Dawnblade. I do think that if it got tuned down a little bit, sure, but I would rather see everything else get tuned up, because I like the feel of Dawnblade right now.
I would 100% rather they take out the underperforming subclasses and actually give us an incentive to use them.
So here's the thing with that. They did that with Bottom True Striker. Bottom True Striker was objectively a bad subclass when Destiny 2 launched, right? It's like there's literally no way that you're like, oh yeah, I want, to be able to have a longer lasting super so that I could still be, watch hunters outrun me while I'm in the super. The thing was, like, it doesn't even have shoulder charge. It was kind of a joke until they buffed it, and they over buffed it.
And then they broke it.
They broke it.
But
So
that's
a very
that's
fine
just
line to
tuning.
walk.
I feel like that's just inevitable. Like, you're going to get broken shit as you're tuning all of the classes together, and that's fine. Like, as long as that, like, you are responsive and can do things to combat that doesn't take 6 months to do. You know?
Exactly, which is people would have more faith in the bringing up and putting down and tuning changes if they didn't know they'd have to stick with it for 6 months, guaranteed.
Yeah, I would be way less upset about certain things being ridiculous if I knew that it was going to be something that could be solved. But that's the thing, is like I just these things, like whenever you break something in Crucible, it's damn near a year before anything gets done about it. And by that time, you've got another meta that's kind of building around something entirely different, while some things are still just broken. It just the whole thing is that when you open up this can of worms with these subclasses, you're going to have a problem, right? It's going to happen. I am already ready for which one of them. There's no way to really even guess. That's why I'm not even picking, because it's always the thing that doesn't seem like it's going to be busted, where you're just like, oh my god, right? I didn't even think about it. This plus that exotic is going to be just like good night. Like it's
Right.
going to be ridiculous.
Like
So it's something that has to be.
everyone's jumping on board saying that the hunter dodge roll slow
Yeah.
is going to be too strong, right? And on paper, with what we know, everyone has a right to be worried.
Right.
The question then is, how long does the slow last? Is it a 5% slow or is it a 50% slow? You know, there's a ton of different metrics that we don't know that could change everything.
The thing is if it's a 1v1 situation, then it dodges up, you're basically then just won the engagement if the AoE is large enough. Like Gemini Jester, which is to the moon, from the moon to Earth, you can dodge and stun someone. So it's
That's true, but I mean, I guess the argument then is, is the slow really necessary? If they were on a different subclass with Gemini Jester, you'd be getting 3 of the 4 ticks against you no matter what.
Right.
Every 9 seconds.
Right. That's the thing. It's like, is it even worth it? I think the dodge is just one of the most overpowered. I think if the dodge didn't have excuse me, if the dodge didn't have iframes as much as it has, where you could like lose targeting on some of them, I think it would be.
They had
less.
more. They had more
Yeah.
months ago, and they actually removed it.
I know. I still think it needs less. Personally, it's just like the whole thing with an FPS is there's kind of 2 schools of thought. The way that I look at it is there's Halo style, which is where it's not necessarily about the player that gets the drop on the other player first that's going to win the engagement in a 1v1. You're generally going to be going for the player that can outshoot, because Halo has the overshields. You have potentially grenades that can drop the overshield. You potentially have the plasma pistol combo that you can use and kind of use ducking and covering to drop the shield and then continue going on with it. And then you've got games like Call of Duty or Call of Duty or CS:GO, where they have a very, very, very short time to kill. I'm just talking about time to kill in a 1v1. So I'm not comparing the games at all. But in those really, really, really short time to kill games, that's all about getting the drop. Whoever gets the drop has that kill. In a game like Halo, it's much slower, so you're going to be strategic, where you can get some damage on your shield, use some of the cover around you, use a grenade, use maybe an ability if you have it, if it's Halo 3, to kind of change the encounter and grab a hold of the situation. You had that in Destiny 1. You had the ability to do it. Destiny 1 1v1s played a lot more like Halo 1v1s. Destiny 2 1v1s, especially from coming to PC, where we have a lot more mobility with a mouse, became more Call of Duty like, where things just happened. And especially with a game that has a low tick rate and kind of a less than stellar netcode, you're going to leave a lot of players just feeling like, I don't even know what's happening here. And when you add just more slow effects, to me, what it looks like is, hey, we're going to show you why you just got screwed out of that 1v1. Like, it's going to be apparent to you. So I have a lot of concerns about it, I guess, just coming into it.
I think that
gameplay.
There's definitely room for concern. I think that they were smart, though, in choosing to give the roaming supers to Titan and Warlock.
Yeah.
And giving them the extra ability and super ease with their abilities to freeze is going to be the counterplay to the slows.
But then does that lock us into only stasis for subclasses in PvP, though?
Not necessarily. I mean, it depends on how they do the weapon tuning, because like all of these discussions are in a vacuum of pretending that one-hit kill weapons aren't running the game anyway.
You're right.
Yep.
You're absolutely correct.
And like your dodge slow isn't going to save you from a sniper bullet.
No.
Facts.
So I have I was playing a little bit of Hunter, right? And I would fire a snipe shot off, and I would send it, and then I'd dodge instantly, like I see a lot of people do. I was like, wow, that's a great strategy. I want to try some of that. So I do that. I send it, and I dodge. Sometimes I hear the bullet whiz past me. Sometimes I dodge. I am comfortably behind a wall, and then just I hear the sniper sound effect, and I'm just dead, right?
Yeah, and that's the server tick.
That's a server tick, 100%. So my thought is, and my super spin foil hat conspiracy theory thought, I think Bungie knows. One, I think they're using the fact that these stasis abilities look insane. I think it's bringing good buzz for the game. Two, we're seeing some leaks and rumors of them maybe reworking the actual engine for the game, which leads me to three. What if they know that? They know the high mobility gameplay is attractive. They know it's what brings people into the game. They know that outside of Call of Duty, there's not a lot of games with a very, very low time to kill. And there's certainly no game with a low time to kill that has absurd spaceman abilities that we have in Destiny, right?
Right.
What if they're going to make it all better?
What does that mean? All better.
What if they're just going to make it all better? What if they're going to make it where they have what if they're gonna change the entire tick rate? What if they're gonna change? What if there's gonna be dedicated servers?
So,
like, how would you be able to go and just be like, "Yep, we're gonna put these abilities in the game with the netcode that we have," not knowing with the secret Luke Smith brain, like secrets in the mind.
so
of like,
if the rumors are correct, they're moving the architecture for the game engine to Vulkan, which is a newer AMD process, and it fits with the next gen consoles coming out.
Mm-hmm.
What I hope they do is they phase out the old consoles completely, and I know that's controversial because it would likely leave player base behind.
I mean, there's a precedent. There's a precedent for it. We left PS3 and Xbox 360 behind.
Right.
Yeah.
But the new consoles can definitely run better. Give me 60 FPS cutscenes, please.
Yeah, I know.
It's what year is this?
Speaking of years, how crazy is it that this franchise has survived is entering its second generation of consoles?
Yeah.
Right.
That's wild to me.
Two
Over
generations
2 games.
of consoles, 2 generations of controversies, and Destiny killer games competing against it.
Yeah. Oh god, the Destiny killers are my favorite thing.
Rest in peace, Anthem, and whatever that new game that's coming out.
Division.
Division
Anthem
kind of was its own thing.
Division turned out to be more Diablo than it did Destiny, in my opinion.
That's true, but I mean,
it was positioned as a Destiny killer.
They want to make Destiny more Diablo.
Yeah, I think it's the games industry as a whole was like, games as a service. Let's fucking do it. And so now even even sports games are doing it. Let's move on though to this week's TWAB, which is going to be the meatiest of TWABs because so just as a contextual note for our viewers and listeners, Perk, we told him not to read this TWAB because he was like, "Oh, I'm running late." I'm like, "Cool, don't read the TWAB. We're gonna get a live reaction as I read this to him."
I need you to show the most important part though.
My milkshake?
No.
What's the most important part of
the wallpaper?
So, your standard interlude. Here's the wallpaper.
Oh, that's dope. I think
that's
I
so
retweeted
good.
that earlier. It's really cool. I saw that.
Cool. So,
all right.
So here's a little basic bit. Excuse me.
Oof, count one. Count one.
Basic bit.
It's a little basic bitch here. The stasis sort of worksheet to show you how things go. We've got slow freeze and shatter, greatly reducing enemy movement speed. So that shows you the amount right there, Moose, at least in terms of ballparking it. but it also reduces weapon handling and accuracy and ability energy regeneration. Freeze is going to immobilize people solid in crystals. The effect wears off slowly over time, but if affected players are willing to take some damage in the process, they can break out. That's actually groundbreaking.
Wow.
So you have a choice: take damage or sit
Smash
there.
out.
Shatter.
Okay.
With enough direct damage, frozen enemies and stasis crystals will shatter, creating a devastating stasis shrapnel explosion for damaging those nearby. The two mechanics on the other side here, stasis crystals and stasis field, they sort of explain what those are. The stasis crystal will explode after taking a bunch of impact into an AoE, and the stasis field draws enemies in, slowing them. It just slows enemies that enter the field, and eventually will encase them in crystal if they have not left it in time. So, how do we feel about that before moving on?
Real quick. Okay, so I do this kind of sparked a thing in me. The breakout mechanic. The breakout mechanic kind of concedes the fact that you're not going to be taking damage while you're frozen, right? Because if I'm taking damage from a player while I'm frozen, why would I mash out and take more damage? What that sounds to me like is that you're going to be literally protected in ice,
It's
and that you
possible,
won't be able to be killed.
but
I
the
think
other choice is
Right?
like if the crystal is damaged enough, you will just die.
Right. Exactly.
Maybe.
I don't think you'll take chip damage like while you're inside of it. But if the crystal hits its shatter threshold,
Yeah.
you'll die. Hence why we saw the clip of the warlock freezing someone and then just pocket sniping, point blank, to
It's
break
gonna-
it.
This is going to be interesting because it sounds like there's a little bit more depth to how they work than we thought, which is way better to me. Like I'm seeing that, I'm way more excited now to try that out. I want to test that and see, hey, are you invulnerable? Is stasis less of a haha gotcha, I'm May, thing, or is it a gotcha, I'm pushing the rest of your team, you're going to be stuck there for a second, now it's a 3v2 even though I didn't even need to kill you in trials or something like that. You know what I mean? Like that
Mhm.
that to me changed the paradigm of the gameplay in a much, 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 much more interesting way. So I like that. I like that.
So
I'm a fan of that.
then we get to see some armor from the season coming up.
What is that?
It's like Revan armor for the
Why?
hunters.
Let me also say that's the hunter.
Mhm.
They're all hunters? They look like warlocks. On the
No,
left.
no. That
The
in the center
hunter's
is
in
the
the
hunter.
middle.
The warlock's
They
on the
look
right.
like Lego people.
It's ugly.
It's not great, but here's what's happening with these and why it might not be that bad. So they're adding a new set of armor for the core playlist: Strikes, Gambit, and Crucible. I'm not sure. So this armor set shares a set of new geometry with decals and shaders specific to the activity. They will create new sets like this every year, and that will arrive alongside the next expansion. So we're looking
What
at
are
this.
decals?
So if you're looking at
basically,
this,
Yeah, so like the center one is the crucible armor.
right.
So the hunter had the base like armor and
Uh-huh.
chose to do the crucible mission, and so the armor shaded and got like designs on it that made it look like crucible armor.
Okay. And that's
so
a
it's-
decal?
Yep. And it's got the decals for Gambit on the right and the Vanguard on the left. I'm thinking that these look like Lego people because of the shaders, realistically.
Honestly, I don't like the
But they're,
hunter armor.
I don't like any of these, but that's fine because this is sort of the year armor that we're getting. This is the wing theorem of everything.
true.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So now here's the big thing. Year 4 will see the return of pursuit weapons. For those of you who may have joined our
Hey,
community,
Perk, what gun is that?
That's beloved.
nope, it is a gun called Adored. It is beloved, but with a little callus scarf.
Yeah, Cal's scarf.
Now
Changes
here's
the whole thing.
here's the interesting thing. The pursuit weapon is going to be available throughout the season through a focused quest. So Banshee's going to give you a choice between Strikes, Crucible, or Gambit to earn the base model. And then, once you finish the main quest, Zavala, Shax, and the Drifter will give you additional quests that allow you to get weapon ornaments to customize it to the end game.
Yep, based
thing.
on what quest you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And
once
you have the ability to go back and do the other two.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once you select which way you're going to get the pinnacle reward, that's from Banshee, you're locked in. So you got to make sure that you know what you're doing ahead of time. But once you do that, you can go back afterwards and get all of the ornaments throughout the season.
They're gonna let us do. So the way that we were always complaining that we wanted pinnacles from other activities, they're doing that for an actual pinnacle weapon.
Right.
They're like, get
And
it however you
so
want.
this thing's
Okay.
going to have perks just like God, what was one of the last pinnacles that we got?
There was
Stag.
Randy's throwing knife. There was
Randy's. You know how Randy's had like a couple different choices in the
Yeah.
final tier perks?
Lots.
This
Yeah,
is going to
perks.
have choices on it as well.
Different perks.
It's gonna be ritual, not like it's not gonna be like a Redrix or a Revoker.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. So less
Less
variance.
less
in
Redrix, less Revoker, more Buzzard.
So okay, so like let's say like for those like ritual weapons, they had like a few different. There's like one of two in the slots.
Right.
Are we gonna get like one of four since there's a Gambit version, a Crucible version,
No.
a Vanguard version, base version?
It'll probably be the same perks,
Okay.
Exactly.
but the ornaments are different.
Yeah, the quests
across.
are literally to get you the weapon skins, which is exactly what we've been asking
I like
for, which is put the cosmetics behind the gameplay.
I like it. Hey, you're gonna go through like Dodd is gonna absolutely go through a bazillion and a half games of Gambit to get that one. I will never have that Gambit skin because I can't handle it. So like that's
X Guardian's gonna have the strike one,
he's gonna have the strike one. That's cool though.
And only the strike one.
and only the strike one.
I
All right.
like that. So you get the gun how you want it, and you get to have a little flair with it. Big brain.
Yes.
Keep going. Let's
Hit
keep going.
this
I'm
part.
excited.
This part's going to continue to excite you. Starting
Okay,
in season
all
12,
right.
the director will be updated to reduce the number of playlists at a given time.
Okay,
Here
fine.
is what PvP is going to look like. You're going to have featured modes: control,
Okay.
elimination, rumble, survival, both survival regular and freelance, with a weekly rotator of Clash, Mayhem, and Showdown. You're going to have private matches, and then Iron Banner gets a freelance mode in season 12.
Oh,
Yep.
finally.
Now,
Finally not eating a six stack when it's me and a guy who just figured out how to put your shoes on.
but wait,
All right.
Perk, there's more. Trials of Osiris,
Okay.
they just snuck this note in at the end. Adept weapons rewarded to those reaching the lighthouse. Return to Trials of Osiris in season 12. More details on functionality coming in a sandbox preview currently planned for October.
Thank you.
Oh wait, there's more.
Is there?
Yes,
Yes.
because
What else?
we go to strikes.
Okay,
Then-
ask yourself, why should trials be the only ones to get adept weapons?
It shouldn't.
Strikes are getting adept weapons.
Son of a. Let's go.
In addition to maybe Gambit? Does it say on Gambit? I don't know.
I mean,
know.
We'll get there in a
Shouldn't.
second. Let's finish up
If they're gonna
straight.
do it for this. Why
Yeah.
not?
I mean, who knows? Nightfall Ordeal will continue to feature matchmaking at lower difficulties, increase rewards for higher. So they'll have updates closer to season 13 on what adept weapons will look like from strikes.
So hopefully it'll be like strike specific loot, but a little bit more better
Mhm.
and something that you can work towards. I love it. Thank you.
And they gave us the full rules changes for Gambit this
Mhm.
twab.
They changed the
So-
rules.
So here we go.
What did
I'm
they
just going to read it verbatim. Hi, Gambiteers. We wanted to give you an excellent explanations of rules changing to Gambit in November, as well as key updates from last week. First, some goals we wrote down before we started. 1. Build a more approachable Gambit Prime, keeping the one-round format with a longer round, but without the Gambit Prime armor perks. 2. Rebalance the modes phase the last 2/3 of each match, rather than half of the match. And 3, speed up the Primeval fight compared to Gambit Prime to give more the feelings of a boss rush. We started with the Gambit Prime counters, full stop. However, without the Reaper buffs, the large bosses that come in at enemy waves are too tanky, so we pulled them all down to mini boss or elite. The pacing
Okay.
should feel like how Gambit feels for a pickup group or how Prime feels for a fully kitted team. We also playtested the having the motes phase, target a score of 150 and or a heavier moat drain. But this allowed organized teams to steamroll even more effectively, not less. So we pulled back to the current Gambit Prime moat target and drain. We started with the Gambit Prime blockers, and but pulled the Taken Captain back from the blocker lineup and he proved a little too potent for a 10-mote blocker. We replaced him with the Phalanx, which can be tough to kill, but not as lethal. Since we don't have the armor perks, we also removed the 20-mote giant blocker. We kept the invasions during the mote phase at 3, just like Gambit Prime, but pulled back the minimum time between invasions during the mote phases from 10 seconds to 20 seconds. Never feels good to get invaded back to back.
It does not.
For the boss fight, we started with the Gambit Primeval fight, and removed the timed Slayer buffs, increased the Primeval health and the potency of the Slayer buff given by when killing envoys. We respawn the envoys every 40% damage done to the Primeval, so if you get invaded and the Primeval is healed a lot, you have the opportunity to get more Slayer buffs and catch up. The fight length ends up somewhere in between the original Gambit and Gambit Prime, so we adjusted the invasion timer during the Primeval phase to match, right in between Gambit and Gambit Prime timing. Overall, this mode will be a little quicker than Gambit Prime, mostly due to the shortening of the boss phase and the removal of larger bosses from the fronts, but one that still gives the great Gambit feeling that you all love. We see you're hungry for info, and we're excited to bring the heat. As we approach Beyond Light, we'll have more details on how your weekly rituals are changing, economy, Eververse, Sandbox, and more. We're looking forward to talking about things like Solar Q, Iron Banner, but we have a few things left to tie up as we approach launch. Stay tuned.
All right. Well, I mean, that's really good. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
So
that sounds
as of
good.
right now, Gambit Prime, you stack your mote deposits,
Mhm.
invade, you're in the zone for like 10 or 11 seconds.
Right.
You're out. By the time you walk to the portal, it's up again.
Yeah.
If you've gone fast enough.
Yep,
By
absolutely.
doubling the length of time, it creates enough time for the enemy team to at least get some motes in.
Yes.
I
Agreed.
don't know if the 10 to 20 is a big enough jump. I think I would have taken it to like 10 to 30.
I think so too. That was one of the things that kind of jumped out to me. I was like, we need less invasions, not just more. Like
Not the same
invasions,
spread out.
Right.
Yeah.
Invasions are really important. They're my favorite thing to do in Gambit. Like nothing makes me like more happy than just melting somebody's like tears with now I've used to use truth. Now I have 1,000 voices to use. Now I've got Izanagi's burden to stack that honed edge and just body shot and be like,
Use
"Woohoo!"
Jotun. Jotun will make people mad.
Jotun is awful and I hate it. But yeah, no, I think that's really, really good. I would honestly have increased the time to 30. What I love about this though, this is a great thing, and this is a brand new direction, I think, for the TWABs. They've never told us what they were thinking of doing and what they've tried and how it didn't work before. Right? They've always just been
And-
like, hey, we did this.
Right. And usually when they tell us we did this, it's on release notes.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's nice and refreshing that we're not only getting all these changes uploaded front, but like it seems like they're actually paying attention, and I know that's the meme
Yeah.
that they're
No, I know.
listening.
We hear you.
But
We hear you. We see you.
like even just like a paragraph at the end saying, "Hey, look, in the next couple weeks we're going to be talking Eververse, economy, bounties, sandbox." That's
Yeah,
a
That's
big
huge.
deal.
It's huge.
It is huge. That's
'Cause
what we wanted.
In my reality, we should never have patch notes with something new in it that we've never seen before
Yeah, I was
when
looking
it comes
at
to changing the game.
absolutely agree. Like I as a perfect example is we've been playing Elder Scrolls a lot. Elder Scrolls tells you what's going on. They even have a public test realm. Why don't we have a public test realm for Destiny? A lot of games do this.
Require too
A lot
many
of games have this
servers.
thing. Yeah, I guess it would. I hope to one day see it because then they can get more people. Even if they do a limited run on the public test servers thing, just to kind of get a feel for it.
Mhm.
It's kind of what they were doing with Crucible Labs almost. They had Crucible
Yeah.
Labs on its own thing. I'd like to see.
Yeah,
I'd
that
like to,
was that was in PvP specifically though, so we didn't get to see that outside of PvP. But I'm down
Right.
for it, 100%.
Right.
I think it would be fun. I think it'd be something good to.
Yeah, like have Strike Labs, Crucible Labs, Gambit Labs,
Yeah, to play around with the testing.
and then
Continue.
actually use it to introduce new game modes. Where's
Yeah.
my Rift? Where's my Capture
I
the Flag?
want Rift so bad. I will solo 1v1 everybody in Rift.
Now that we can be linebackers with stasis, Rift should make a comeback.
Yes. Rift
Uh,
would be an absolute mess.
Could you
with stasis,
imagine,
but I'll play it. I'm down
like
for it.
even like Capture the Flag?
Yeah.
Like
dude, just give me
sealing
an
off
open
doors
field. Like, give me
with
an open
the
field
walls?
with no, with literally no clutter or whatever, and Rift would still be
Yeah.
great. Like if it was literally just like a basketball court.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ugh.
Like, why not?
All right,
I'm
guys.
down for it.
I have a special conspiracy theory this week.
Okay.
It has to do with I'm not sure if you guys saw. Well, I'm 100% sure you guys saw. The Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X release dates came out. Guess what day that is?
Is it
November
November
10th?
10th?
It's November 10th. Guess what else comes out that day?
Beyond Light.
Destiny 2 Beyond Light.
Mm.
Now, I need to give Perk some credence here. I did not believe that there was collusion, that there was a conspiracy to be had between Bungie and their former owners, their former publisher, Microsoft. You know,
Yeah.
this is a company that bought its freedom from Microsoft at the expense of the entire Halo franchise,
Yep.
and then again bought its freedom from Activision, which was a heavy price to be paid.
There's a lot of development and co-development and stuff.
So,
I've seen a lot of convos about the assets and having the third-party studios. But yeah, go on.
So
go on.
here we are. Destiny 2 Beyond Light is delayed. Seems reasonable. We're in the middle of a COVID outbreak, and even if we weren't, these things happen. To quote Shigeru Miyamoto, a rushed game is never great, but a delayed game is eventually good. I thought this was all coincidence until Microsoft announced that Destiny 2 and its console would be coming out on the same day, thus making Destiny 2 Beyond Light a launch title for the Xbox One Series S and X.
Because it's bundled with Game Pass.
And it's in Game Pass. And Xbox now has this incredible pricing model, I'm not sure if you saw it, where you can pay per month and get the console.
$35 a month.
That's wild. My spin foil hat is spinning.
So my only counterpoint to this is going to be that it actually goes one level deeper.
Okay.
That's not a counterpoint.
It's not Xbox and Microsoft who's controlling it. It's put on your red hat. It's AMD.
What?
Because the rumor is the engine's getting updated to Vulkan, which is AMD tech.
Okay.
The new consoles are all running AMD.
Okay.
So the switch to Vulkan, they had to coincide it with the new console launch. And why not launch it with the first one?
I think that's the most reasonable thing, conspiracy-wise, that I've heard in a while. Could it be both? Honestly, like, what if it just worked out perfectly for both?
I mean, I think it's it's eerie that it's happening on the same day.
Okay.
But until we get a PlayStation launch date, it's impossible to say, because you're gonna want to launch your game on the first gen. The new gen consoles, you're gonna want to launch it on whoever goes first.
So here's the
if
thing.
it comes out and Sony is launching first for some unknown reason, then I'd be a little more sus.
Allegedly not. Insider leaks in quotation marks that I saw today said that November 20th would be the PlayStation 5 launch.
Okay. That makes a little more sense. That is right. Both consoles are right on holiday rush.
Right.
I think last year or not last year, last console gen 2013 launched with I think Xbox came out a few days later. I think the PS4 came out, I want to say it was like November 13th. It came out on a Friday. I'm almost positive of that. Because I remember I had one of the 0.004% of PS4s that were broken out of the box.
Nice.
The HDMI port issue, which was super wonderful
That was the thing?
to see. Yeah, 0.004% of PS4s were DOA, and I got one of them, and I had to rush down and get some get a Sony store to swap my PS4, and I was like, all right, cool, I guess, because I remember going for the PS4. Which was 2013. So we didn't have Destiny at launch. We got Destiny a year later. But yeah, so it would be kind of interesting. And I think the Xbox launched, like, I want to say 2 weeks after. I almost think it's 2 weeks to the day. We can check the sites and everything for it. But yeah. So I mean, it's interesting. It would be really interesting if it's really for the Vulkan for the engine release. That would be kind of
Right.
wild.
I think that's what it is.
Are you ready? So November 15th, 2013 was PlayStation 4.
Okay, I was close. What was Xbox One?
Hold on.
It had to be. It could not have been more than 2 weeks, and I'm almost positive it was. They were a little bit delayed.
November 22nd, 2013.
Wow.
week.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're always really close to each other,
That's what I
which
was
they
gonna say,
have
like,
to because they're competing for the Christmas budget.
Yeah. They absolutely. There's no reason for it not to be. And oddly enough, like Nintendo was just like, haha, we don't care. We're gonna put it out in March, because we're Nintendo and you're gonna buy it anyway. So it was
Right. If you
was
can
fun
find
to
it,
do that.
even like months later.
Oh, I was in line for launch night for the Switch. I remember that.
Well, we're talking
Um,
Wii U at this point.
No, we're talking about Switch. Oh,
Well,
but
no,
that,
but
that
yeah.
that launch, yeah, that's Wii U. Definitely did not stand in line for Wii U. But yeah, so I mean, honestly, that's kind of insane. The Xbox deal where you get Game Pass, now you get EA Pass with it.
It's
So
wild, dude.
that's gonna include like your FIFAs and your
I didn't
Maddens.
see that.
Yep.
Yeah,
EA Pass is now included.
EA Access is now part of Game Pass. So those
Here's
people.
the question then:
Yeah.
does that include their Xbox Live service now, or are console players still paying for
Yes, it
that? No,
does.
so you can get
Gotcha.
just Xbox if you want, like Xbox Live for multiplayer, or you can get. I think it's like a few
It's like
dollars
20.
more for
It's
Game Pass.
so I think it was 25 for Xbox Live and Game Pass together.
It's
Okay.
I think it's 15 a month for Game Pass Ultimate, I believe. But they've changed the price a little bit because Game Pass for PC used to be $5 a month.
Did you ever,
So
like
it's
back
gonna-
when
it's gonna
Xbox Live first started, go to Blockbuster and open up all the front cases to see if they left the
No.
manuals and the free
I never did
Xbox
that.
Live like 1 month things in it?
I did get a few used games like from EB or something like that had some codes in it, and you're like, yes, bonus. So
Yo.
I do remember that happening.
Do you remember when was it EA I think EA did this with like Mass Effect 2? They made you have a fucking code that you would put in if you bought, like, you had to buy it fresh from retail. So if you bought
Oh
it
my
used,
God,
you had to pay extra.
Oh, I remember that. I had to do that. The Tekken Tag Tournament 2 did that. I remember getting a used copy of Tag from a friend to play with another friend. And then I'm like, oh shit, I have to spend another $20 for the online pass for this game. It was ludicrous. And I was like,
Dumb.
Who greenlit this? Like, who did this? Who said this was okay? It was an absolute, like, total train wreck for that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who like pioneered that. It escapes my mind, but I'm just glad that we don't do that anymore. So
there are some things in the games industry that are just too bad to keep doing. So it's good.
One day we'll get season passes to be that. So let's finish this week. Let's talk about Dungeons and Dragons. We had our first clan D&D session. Perk, how do you feel about D&D now that I forced you to play it with all of our friends?
I can't believe you're putting me on the spot like this, and this wasn't in the patch notes. So thanks for that. I'll say this. I've only had one other experience with Dungeons and Dragons, right? Despite actually being, when I was a lad, my first gig working for a retail store of Wizards of the Coast. I had a lot of fun doing it. I found myself getting into the character of the play. It's hard for me as someone who's so focused and ingrained on like doing like tons of mechanics and like actually like making sure I'm like either DPSing characters, landing my shots, or doing different mechanics and raids. So when I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons, I'm almost kind of in a situation of what do I do with my hands? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just
grab that
it's not-
fidget spinner and just
that's all I had. That's all I had. I had like dice that I was like playing with. Like I think it's good. I had fun. But I'd like it if it moved faster and it was a little bit more interactive.
We'll get there. We're playing with a bunch of new people. Do you want to describe your character to our viewers?
Sure. My character is Maximilian Pegasus, the villain from Yu-Gi-Oh. and his like extravagance.
What's his name though?
Maximilian Pegasus.
No, your character's name.
Oh, my character's name is Holly Sword.
There you go.
I was gonna say the character is basically that infused with some other characters, and basically I'm just a bowling ball. We came upon a rock in the forest. Moose kind of talked me into being like, "Oh, you should shoulder charge that." So I was like, I roll for shoulder charging, whatever it was, and I rolled a natural 20, and I crashed through the wall, and I left a Kool-Aid man sized shape of my character in the wall, and thus our
And
dungeon
surprised a bunch of
explorer.
goblins,
It's
And we
true.
did. We absolutely did.
who then proceeded to stab your shins.
They did, because I'm Gaston mixed with Maximilian Pegasus. So it was. I like my character and where we're going with that. I need a little more engagement if we're gonna put me on the spot about how I feel about Dungeons and Dragons.
All right.
I'm gonna answer back with that.
That's totally fine.
I love Dungeons and Dragons.
I know
Moose,
you both do.
who do you play?
So I basically play a Khajiit that looks exactly like my cat Kerm, right there on the screen. Only I'm a cleric and I heal people with the great power of yarn.
Yeah, Moose puts yarn on us to heal wounds.
All right.
Pretty great.
I want to offer this opportunity to our guests that are in the clan. If you can give a recap of what happened in that session, I'll reward you with some in-game material.
Wow. Okay. All right. So we're challenging. Is this gonna be like? Is this like a 400-word essay? 200-word essay?
No, just tell us what happened.
Okay. I want to put it. Can we put it? Can I up the bounty? I want in essay form. I want them to tell me the story. I want to see it a little bit more lively.
Set the
I wanna know what
stage,
happened.
Moose.
Oh, you want me to tell what
200
happened last time?
Or
Sure,
Perk,
what
would you like to throw your hat in the ring for the benefit of Holly Sword?
No.
Okay, okay, so basically, we're in this little town, and there's a unicorn that acts as the holy symbol of healing and like goodness, and it's been taken.
Mm-hmm.
It disappeared. And people are like, "Hey, there's a bounty. Go to the tavern. Ask them what's going on." So we show in. I walk in, ball of yarn in hand. There's this giant lumbering oaf of a person just sitting there waiting for a drink, who then proceeds to fist fight anyone in the bar who he can in order to win us drinks and food.
Yeah.
That humble person would then lead us through the forest out as we go search to kill 2 goblin leaders, one with earrings, and we accompany him, this Holly Sword as he is called,
I am.
and we come upon a house where the unicorn resided with its keepers, and the priest who took care of it was slain, an axe to the neck.
Yep.
We did some investigation. We found some hidden loot, found some books, found some spell scrolls, headed off into the woods, following the drag marks to the cliffside wall that we knew they couldn't drag a unicorn up. So I said, Holly Sword, with your big, strong Gaston shoulders, shoulder check that wall. Bring down that wall.
I didn't disappoint. I did not disappoint. And I rolled a natural 20.
And then what happened? Tell
I
us what happened
smashed
when you
through that
broke through the wall.
And then I proceeded to whiff my sword strikes against all of the goblins running back and forth across the room. This is after Gino and Lucas were bartering over how they could use the axe that was stuck in the neck of the cleric. So I didn't even think that looting was even an option. But of course, Gino was talking about
No,
Looting
everything's
is
lootable.
always an
Everything's
option.
lootable.
how many materials
If you can
he
carry
could
it, you
stack
can keep it.
and fill the coffers and everything like that. So I was feeling pretty proud of myself, hands on the hips, laughing as I busted through the wall. And then I proceeded to take some strikes at some goblins and swing and a miss quite a number of times. I know there was some arrow reloads bouncing off of the floor. We proceeded to low roll kind of our way through that. But eventually we got to the unicorn, healed it, and then brought it back. And we were like, "What's up, town? We're the shit." And so the
We
story
got
was
goodie
born.
bags.
Yeah, We got goodie bags from the town.
And I think the moral of the story is goblins and chainmail, not very fun
The moral of the story is
for anyone.
don't pay for drinks when you could put on a show and fight everyone in the tavern instead.
I think we're going to take two different morals away from this story.
We can. That's fine.
We have a lawful good and a chaotic evil one.
Chaotic good. I'm chaotic good. Hey.
Yeah, that was a
Good.
gentleman's agreement to have the fight. It
This-
wasn't evil.
Fine,
was.
lawful neutral.
Sure.
If it's a gentleman's agreement.
Sure.
All
I'll
right,
take it.
guys. So the reason why I made these two comrades here explain what D&D is for us is because we will be eventually starting our own D&D show here on the channel. It'll be eventually Destiny themed. We're working our players up into role-playing machines, and I am working on the story for that. I will be your strike master, I guess we'll call it.
You're
faction
you're
leader.
the solar system master.
I'm the director.
Yeah, you're the director. There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have that coming up in the pipeline. Until then, we have to wrap the show up the way we always do with Clan Affairs. Time to put Perk on the spot one more time. Member of the week. Who is it?
You didn't tell me.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Who is it?
The notes for the pre-show notes literally said, "Put Perk on the spot and ask him who's
You know
clan
what? That's
member of the
great
week."
because I did read the notes for this podcast, so that your avenue worked twice.
Yeah, technically everything we've discussed was on the show notes.
I'm a dungeon master, Perk.
Yeah,
I'm not
Yeah.
a
this is
dungeon novice.
improv class. Go.
All right. I'm nominating Holly Sword as clan member of the week for rolling a natural 20 and busting through that wall.
I
Not
can agree to
myself.
that.
Not myself, but my character. How's that?
Okay.
Also, Holly Sword exists in multiple dimensions.
Yes.
You know,
He's a
you're not
paracosm.
only in Dungeons and Dragons, you're in Tamriel.
I am.
Like, Holly Sword gets around.
We
I
go
was
far
gonna
and wide.
nominate
We go
Taggy,
far and wide.
but because
We
Taggy was hanging out finally got in the Discord, warmed up with
Can't-
us before you woke up on Saturday.
You can't put me on the spot and then just go with your own answer anyway.
But
the whole
how am
purpose
I
of
supposed to
doing
know that you were gonna nominate a fictional person, Perk?
So my
I'm doing that because I was going to nominate myself. But
My
I didn't wanna do that
nomination-
'cause I'm not an asshole.
my nomination is Brian, because every Fall Guys stream, he's brought the W.
Has he really?
He has.
He's won every time we've streamed Fall Guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, shit.
Okay. Well, I
Let's
think we
take
just have to give it to Dragon King, aka Brian. Taggy in a close second. Holly Sword, you got to break through that fourth wall,
We're-
bud.
We're all clan member of the week this week, apparently.
You show up in chainmail with a sword
True.
as Holly Sword, and you can be nominated.
All right. One day you're not gonna be ready for it. One
All
day
right.
it will come in character.
I put on my robe and my wizard hat, and coming up on
Oh,
the
I need
stream this
Gaston
week,
gloves.
Saturday, me still streaming, still kicking, still alive.
It's your boy, me.
It's your boy,
Still
me.
doing it.
Sunday Fun Day, is that happening this week?
I
No.
don't think so.
It's off
I
week.
think it's
We are
off
on
week
the off week for Sunday Fun Day. Lucas on Mondays with the comp. Perk on Tuesdays with the whatever he feels like doing and the resets. And Moose on Wednesdays, as always, with high tier, high challenge in the Crucible. Moose, do you have a project coming up that you want to share with us?
Do I have a project coming up that I want to? Do I?
The thing you shared with us earlier? Is that something you want to talk about?
Snowman? Do you want to build a snowman?
Honestly, I've completely forgotten. Feel free to tell everyone what
the
I forgot.
Hardcore run.
Oh, yes. So
Oh,
this is
okay.
actually inspired by our very own Coffee Hazard,
Yes.
who I would challenge to also take up the mantle and do this along with me.
I agree.
I think we should both do this and stream it.
It's like Nuzlocke, but for Destiny.
Yeah, so Dan came to us with this idea of doing like a Destiny 2 roguelite, where you would start the game from the beginning with nothing. you would go, and if you died, you would delete the character, but
Yep.
anything you put in your stash you could keep. And I said to myself, I don't really like that. Instead, I want to run through all 3 campaigns that are leaving. And if I die, I reset and start over from the very beginning. Delete the character, start over from the beginning of the Red War campaign.
A flawless run. A flawless run. I like it. I was taking it a step further, and you're probably going to see this on one of the streams come closer to October. Will, this is going to be news to you. You're going to get ready for this one. Ready? We're going to start doing the raids with blue weapons and not exotics that we're used to for like out DPSing the shit out of stuff, because we've got to get ready for our potential 24-hour run of the new raid that comes out in November. And when those happen, you don't really have all of your good stuff. You're not always leveled up. And the meta, generally, those first raids kind of don't really make use of exotics that you've already got going on and stuff like that. So we're going to be doing raids with blue weapons.
What are we calling that?
Get ready.
Raid prep.
Raid
The
prep.
work.
Honestly, yeah,
Blue light special?
sure. Blue light
And
special.
so here's what I'll say. For any of our viewers who, because we're in the podcast section right now, who haven't seen a Destiny 2 raid or a Destiny raid, you might think it's like an MMO raid where it's just like a DPS check.
No.
But the mechanics in this FPS MMO far exceed complexity of what you would find in a normal MMO.
A lot. There's a lot of mechanics. There's a lot going on.
Okay, I am in,
All right.
but when we wipe, we have to call it, hey guys, we need a dabba dee dabba die.
Nope.
I'll only say that if Perk wears blue face paint.
Nope. Not doing
Okay.
that. Good luck. Good luck. Not happening. No.
Peter agrees. Peter's
Peter's
Peter
in.
agrees.
No, we're not all in greens. No.
We're the tyranny of the masses here.
No. I am not pulling a what was his name?
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti, covering myself in blue paint. I'm not doing that.
Liar,
Brian
liar.
agrees. Marshall agrees.
No. There's no
All right,
no-
guys.
I don't agree with you, so that's fine.
Agreement or disagreement, that's fine. We will get there when we get there. I do want to say, as usual, this channel on Twitch is a Twitch affiliate, which means that if you have an Amazon Prime sub, you connect that to your account every month, you get a Prime Gaming sub, so that you can use it on a subscription to any channel that can take subscriptions on Twitch. Not just us, but literally anyone. If you guys do decide to use it on here, we thank you very much for your patronage. It helps out. All of the funds that we've been getting through the stream have gone right back into producing content on this channel, whether it's our community streams, whether it's this podcast, or if it's the content that we have lined up, or the emotes that will be arriving sometime in the very near future. That said, I am kind of disappointed that I am top of the gifting subs train right now. It's September, so
Wow,
that means that it's actually cheaper than ever to gift subs.
boy.
I see Peter in there with the hype train emote in the first, and yet it is WillProduces, at the top of the leaderboard right now.
Yeah, Peter's a caboose right now.
It's quite odd.
All right.
I do not know what to say about that. That's fine. You guys can sub or not. It's your choice. We love you regardless of whether you do that. Also, go ahead, look us up on YouTube. We don't have an affiliate link yet, as our channel is still growing. So just look for the Caffeinds cast there. Check us out on Spotify or on Anchor or on Apple Podcasts, wherever you guys listen to podcasts. Give us a listen if you feel like it. We would really appreciate your help growing in those dimensions as well. Check out our clan Twitter at CaffeindsGG. I am WillProduces. He is at PerkFGC, and our guest has been at It's Space Moose. We're going to end it right here for the podcast, and if you're staying in Twitch, hang out, because we're going to raid another channel right now.